Hey, good morning, guys. So I wanted to do a video and talk a little bit about kind of the self-development process and what a person goes through when they kind of get into that process and start learning about themselves and doing all that sort of thing. So I feel like people who kind of go through this process tend to go through kind of the same journey and the same steps. So a lot of times we kind of find ourselves in what I would call the victim mentality. So we kind of have this belief that the world is the way that it is, and that things that happen to us that we have very little control over it. And I was definitely very much operating in that mindset when I was younger. I was kind of an awkward, shy kid growing up, and I was never really the achiever type, and had various personal struggles and things that I struggled with, and I really kind of saw people who were successful and had this belief that they had something that I did not have, and that was a belief that stuck with me for quite a while. Um, so I went to college, and I did get an engineering degree, and that was a pretty big accomplishment for me. I'm not particularly good at math, so getting an engineering degree was quite the struggle for me. So that kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. But what really kind of started me down the self-development path was, once I got a little bit deeper into, I got a job out of college and I was working. Um, I wasn't super, fulfilled like I thought that I would be. So I kind of went down the path, did everything that I thought you were supposed to do, and was pretty proud of myself for getting that degree and getting that good job. And, I've always kind of been the creative problem solver type, and that served me pretty well in my job, and I was climbing the ladder fairly quickly there. But I was kind of getting everything that I thought I wanted and was not super happy, so I started doing a lot of reading. I was kind of a little bit depressed there for a while, so started doing a lot of reading, got really into the self-development books. Some of the first books that I read, so there was one called 10% Happier, and I'm having a brain fart on the author. Dan Harris is the author of that book. And that book was really all about meditation. So that book kind of that was what first got me into meditation. And I think meditation really was kind of the thing that sort of started it all for me. So that really got me doing a lot of self-reflection, and I guess got me a little bit more in touch with myself and what I really wanted, and what I was actually capable of. And so that was kind of the spark that I think started it. But I started reading a lot of other books on all sorts of various topics. The Obstacle is the Way. All sorts of books on kind of philosophy, and another one that was kind of one that really shifted my mindset a little bit was a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And so it talks about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, and how our beliefs about our potential actually affect us. So that book uh, explains the difference between a fixed versus a growth mindset. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this before, but so if you have a fixed mindset, you basically have this underlying belief that whatever talents and abilities that you have are more or less set at birth. So you spend your life trying to basically prove that you're smart, and you can definitely, once you learn about it, you can definitely learn to recognize, and you will see this in other people. So, they have this underlying belief, and their ego is basically constantly trying to, assert itself, and it's because they believe that they don't have the power to actually, grow and change. So the growth mindset is exactly the opposite. So the growth mindset, and it can be learned too. So that is the key feature here, is that once you understand this, and you learn about some of the background behind, like the neuroscience and the psychology behind it, you start to understand that growth is absolutely possible, and that you can do so much more than that you think that you're capable of. So the growth mindset is the belief that, through hard work and effort, that you can become better, and that there really is no set limit on what you're capable of. So a person that adopts the growth mindset, they're much more likely to take on challenges. So, and do, really difficult things like trying to build a business or, things like that. Um, so if you have that growth mindset, you're not as scared of failure, because when you do fail, you don't identify failure as your failure. It's, I failed in this attempt to do something big, but that doesn't mean that you're a failure. That just means that, it's one step towards, one step closer towards achieving your goals, is you have to learn what works and what doesn't work, so you accept challenges. So after I read that book, it really kind of opened my eyes towards, personal growth and what was actually possible. And it really made me rethink what I was actually capable of. And then once I had that growth mindset and that belief, all of a sudden I could actually, go out and do the hard things, because I had this new belief that I actually was capable of doing difficult things, and that all these successful people that I saw were really no different from me. And that absolutely is true. I mean, the science proves it, the psychology proves it. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It's not easy at all. And it really made me kind of realize just how much subconscious beliefs and your personal identity really does drive your behavior. So I don't know if you guys know Tom Villieu, but he has a talk where he talks about, identity and beliefs and how they drive behavior. That's really good. I'll try to find that and link to it. But so if you are a person that's kind of a fixed mindset, and you're maybe you're stuck in some sort of a rut, you really have to learn how to literally change your identity and become a different person who is capable of doing big things. So that's kind of part of this process that you have to go through. And the more work you do to reinforce it, spending time around, other people who are doing big things and have also adopted a growth mindset, you will shock yourself of what you're actually capable of doing. So, I've been kind of going down this path for quite a while now, probably about 6 years or something like that. And I was a very average person when I kind of started down that path. And, I've done quite well in business now. I no longer work for anybody. I set my own schedule, and, own quite a few several $1 million worth of real estate. And, if myself 5 years ago, I never would have imagined that I would be capable of doing all that stuff. And it's really just through adopting some of that self-development behavior and learning about it. So that's really, I guess, what I wanted to get across today is, don't sell yourself short. You really are capable of a lot more than you probably think you are. And, start doing some reading on, definitely check out the book, Mindset by Carol Dweck. If you don't want to read the full book, she has an awesome TED Talk as well that you can find, just find it on YouTube. It really might make you rethink some of your limiting beliefs that you might be holding. And, a lot of those limiting beliefs, they're very deeply held subconscious things, and they are very, very, very difficult to get rid of. But there absolutely is a process to do that. Meditation is extremely helpful to let you get a little bit more access to your subconscious and start, reprogramming yourself, hacking yourself, and changing some of those things. It'll help you just so much. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Hope you found this useful. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.